Good evening, everyone. Welcome you all to Revamp ED YouTube channel. In this video, we are going to see about UGC net paper to history. Here we have our friend Praveen from Jawaharlal Nehru University. He will be, addressing what all the things need to be done. I mean, like how you're going to prepare, how you're going to appear the examination, because we have a short period of time. Yeah, Praveen, now you can proceed.
Yeah, thank you, Vile Kumarana. So, when it comes to students who are now interested in pursuing academic career in field of history, there's a drastic change in the number of students who are interested to pursue such a career. And since in Tamil Nadu and many other states, they have stopped taking the set exams. The state eligibility test has been put on hold now. So that's why the net exam, the candidates who are appearing for the net exams have been a significant rise right now. So while when we look into this history as a paper, it's a very vast subject. Some might feel it is very deep and so vast. How can we cover such a vast topic? So you can begin it by looking at a systematic approach towards the syllabus. And you can see that the factual approach is also very important. In many institutions, while you are pursuing your masters, the syllabus which they teach you there, it is really very like theoretical paper. It will deal with philosophy, it will deal with the interpretations, critical analysis. So it is really necessary for students to keep a hold on their factual history as well. That deals with facts and informations, very specific, very extensive. Okay. So as you know, many of the students, they might have had their bachelors in history from various colleges or universities. So it is necessary to take out the textbooks which they have referred for their bachelor's degree and their syllabus which has been prescribed to them for from the colleges. So we begin by the sources of ancient Indian history, and then we will in which the classifications of sources of history: archaeological, literary sources, colonial documents. So what are the sources? In this case, we need to have a good like it needs to be very gist of the idea is like we need to know about what are the important libraries, what are the important museums, and where they are located. So they might always ask us, there will be questions regarding match the following kind of questions, in which they will ask, they will give the name of the museum and the places where they are situated. So you need to have a good matching. Now the paper has been, the second paper, the optional paper for history, it has been, it is not enough for you to know a single answer. That is the issue now. They will give you combination answers, they will give you a statement and assertion and reason kind of questions will be there. So it is really required for you to have a it is really required for you to have a understanding about what are the systematic approach to history. So after seeing the sources which we begin from the ancient period, the Vedas, the Upanishads, Vedangas, and then we move on to the Buddhist and Jain literature, and then various important texts in ancient history like Arthashastra, Rajatarangini, and the Sangam literature. What are the Sangam epics and Sangam like archaeological excavations where they are held and all. And the second topic we are dealing with is prehistoric period. And in prehistoric period, you need to know the different classifications of the ages. That is the stone ages, three stone ages: Paleolithic, Mesolithic, and Neolithic stone ages. And what are the important sites in India where we can find cave paintings and Neolithic, Mesolithic, and Paleolithic sites, and you need to get list out the important archaeologists who have been involved in these excavations, like Robert Bruce Foote. He was involved in Pallavaram, where he found the stone tools and all. So it is really required for you to like note down the different types of potteries found: blackware, redware, grayware potteries where they were found. And you need to have an idea about the chronological order of the Stone Age, the prehistoric period. That is really important. So then, after the prehistoric period, we move on to the Indus Valley civilization. Indus Valley civilization, we need uh, you can just draw a table in your notebook where you have the, like I have done here. You need to have a diagram in which you have written the name of site, when the excavation was done, by whom, and what is the religion, and what are the significant archaeological finds you can get there. For example, Harappa, for the first excavation was from 1921 to 1926. Dayaram Shahini, and which river? It is situated in the river Ravi, and six granaries and the statues of virgin goddesses. So this is how I have framed my archaeological site for Harappa. So likewise, you can go for the major sites: Mohenjo-daro, Chohandaro, Kalibangan, Lothal, and Rupar, many other. So you need to have a table so that you can easily just glance through the table and get an idea about the whole of the Indus Valley civilization. While you're covering Indus Valley civilization, it is really important for you to know the archaeological excavations, the kind of excavations which have been done, like stone tools where it was found, where the beads were found, where is the dockyard, where is the dockyard in Harappan civilization, the landmark excavations, and artifacts. That is really important. So after you have done with your Harappan civilization, so we move on to the Vedic age. So given the political scenario of contemporary age, it is really important for us to concentrate more on the Vedic age and what are the different types of theories which have been proposed, ideas and definitions given by various historians, various scholars regarding various topics of history. For example, how different historians define history. Like for example, the previously I gave the entrance exam for COT for PhD. So they were asking the different definitions for history and who said it. There was Abraham Lincoln's definition. There was E.H. Carr's definition. There was Bruce Foote's definition. So these were there. So we need to know, like, match the following kind of questions were there, and who said it, and he said it. What is said and he said it, that will be given, and we need to give it like true or false kind of questions were there. So one sec. Yeah. So moving on, Vedic age. So we need to have a clear idea about the Vedic literature, what kind of Vedic literature were there, and what were the contents, a gist of the contents of these Vedic literatures that we need to have a good idea about, and how slowly the urbanization began in northern India. This is the second urbanization we are talking about. The first urbanization was in the industrialization. So when we are covering in the Vedic age, we need to have an idea about how slowly the Janapadas came into being, and what are and when we move on, the most important work is to draw up a map of India and point out where are the major Mahajanapadas are. So there are 16 Mahajanapadas in total. So we need to have an idea about what kind of Janapada was there. Either they were republic, so that we need to have a good idea about. And of course, as we move on, the rise of the Shishunaga dynasty, the Nanda dynasty. So while we are covering about these, there are certain rulers. What you can do is draw the top 50 rulers of ancient India, or top 50 rulers of medieval India, or top 50 rulers of uh, top 50 personalities of modern India. You can write such things and you can draw up the important informations about them. This will give you a good idea about how you can have a good understanding about the most landmark events of history. So this is a major work which can be done. And most important dates, that is also very important, like when Alexander invaded India, and in which year Alexander died, or w- after that you need to draw a table, separate table for the literatures. In every exams, in net exams or in CUCT or in any other entrance exams, they will ask you the information about there will be at least 4 or 5 questions regarding the travelers in India. It might be Chinese travelers, it might be Arabic travelers. So you need to have an idea regarding that. So you need to draw, like like I said, it all comes to tables when you are preparing for your exams. So you need to draw a table, like the name of the traveler, when he visited, and after that which regions he visited. So and is there any book which was written by him? For example, when you write Megasthenes and from Greece, and he the time period he visited and the regions he visited, and then which book he wrote. So likewise you can have a clear idea, like it is not, you don't require, you are not, after you have drawn your table, you don't require to take out a book and start reading it comprehensively. That is not required. If you have the table, you have drawn up a table. So after that, we proceed to the religious sects of Buddhism and Jainism. So their origin and their spread, and what are the important dates and places of Buddha's lifetime and Mahavira's lifetime. That is really important. Where he was born, where he went, where he attained his enlightenment, and what are the Buddhist councils that were held, where he attained his death, and after that, what are the Buddhist councils that were held? When was the first Buddhist council, the second, the third, the fourth? At least I'll advise you to have till the fifth Buddhist council. You need to have a good idea about them. Where they were held, which time period, and who was the patron of that Buddhist council, and who was the head of the Buddhist council. There are two people. That's what people need to be clear about. There are always two people. One who is heading the Buddhist council, and the second one who is the king, who will be the patron for the Buddhist council. So next we move on to the Mauryan Empire. So there are certain empires which are very which have a major pivotal role in the syllabus of uh, India. Like for example, we have Mauryan Empire, the Gupta Empire, and these are from the ancient period. And then when we look into South India, there was the Sangam age in South India, where the Cholas, Cheras, and Pandyas they were ruling South India. And before the Sangam age, we can after the Sangam age, there was a dark age in South India, which was ruled by a dynasty called the Kalabras. So you don't need to dwell more into South Indian history. It the most significant ones are the Sangam period, the Bhakti movement, the Vijayanagara Empire, and and very few questions they ask about the Chola Empire. Okay, most of the Chola Empire questions would have somehow connected with the Pallava Empire, because the Pallavas were the pioneers of Dravidian temple architecture. So, what are the developments of Dravidian temple architecture? Like first there was rock cut temples, and then slowly develop into the structural temples, and then how the Dravidian architecture came into being, where you have the gopuram, the mandapa, the pillars, which we need to work on. And another major dynasty of the ancient period was the Kushana dynasty, which needs to be seen carefully, because here we can see a drastic change in the Buddhist period and Buddhist traditions during the Kanishka period. And after the end of the, how do we recognize the end of the ancient period? That is what many people are worried about. They are confused about. So to recognize the dissolution of the ancient period and the starting of the medieval period, we can take the tripartite struggle as a major significant aspect. While the tripartite struggle is the struggle between the Palas, Pratiharas, and the Rashtrakutas, where they struggle to control Kannauj. It is a fertile region. So that is a major aspect, and we can take that as an opening stage for the medieval age to begin. So in medieval age, we have the Vakatakas, the Chalukyas, the Pallavas in South India, and then the uh, Cholas, they win and they establish the Imperial Chola Empire in South India. And the most important aspect of Indian history starts from the uh, Islamic invasions and Islamic empire in northern India. We start from Mahmud Ghazni and Mahmud Gori, and after that we come to the Delhi Sultanate. Each sultan of the Delhi Sultanate and each dynasty of the Delhi Sultanate needs a clear understanding about what were the different landmark events which have happened there, and what are the major ministries that was there. This is also major important questions which need to be seen, which always shows up in exams. No, every kind of exams you will get a question regarding the different ministers and what was their post known as. So in Mauryan Empire, it was the same. You will have who was the minister for spies, who was the minister for the army, who was minister for finance, who is the minister for food and agriculture. So then you need to make a table for them, for the Mauryas, for the Guptas, for and then for the sultanates, Delhi Sultanate. So, what were the different types of ministries known as? And the administrative divisions also. It is also really required. Yeah, many people will feel like it is, yeah, this is like the UPSC preparations which the people do. Like, yeah, it is like UPSC preparation, but you need to be more specific. You can't just go on with, uh, critical thinking will be required in many questions. That is what UPSC questions of history mains will not have. So then we move on to the Delhi Sultanate. What are their economic reforms? The major sultans of Delhi Sultanate, like you have Qutbuddin Aibak, Alauddin Khilji, Muhammad bin Tughlaq, and Firoz Shah Tughlaq. They are the Firoz Shah Tughlaq and Alauddin Khilji. Questions regarding both of these sultans always shows up in the exams. It is regarding their reforms they have done and what are the policies they have adopted and what kind of uh, administrative system they had. And regarding the administrative failures of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, that is often asked. Okay. And then Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Firoz Shah Tughlaq, he had done many successful reforms, like bringing about the Ministry for Water Management and all. So that needs to be looked into. And then when we move on, we find the regional kingdoms, like regional kingdom in Bengal is there, in Gujarat, Malwa, Mewar, Jaunpur, Kashmir, Kamrupa. These are the regional kingdoms. So this is between the Delhi Sultanate time period and between the coming of the Mughal Empire. So when the Mughal Empire comes, it conquers these regional kingdoms. That is what we need to see. And the next major empire in South India is the Vijayanagara Empire. So as all people know, Krishna Devaraya, he will have a upper hand in occupying the syllabus of Vijayanagara Empire. And most important aspect is his ministers, how many ministers he had and what are the names of each of the ministers, and what are the administrative divisions he had. And these administrative divisions, the commanders and the governors of these administrative divisions went on to establish their own naikas, the naika kingdoms. Okay, so that needs to be seen. And the enmity between the Vijayanagara Empire and the Bahmani Sultanate, it also needs to be seen. It is a major impacting factor in Deccan history. And then Sufi and Bhakti movement. Yeah, the different types of Bhakti and Sufi movements in various regions. And in when it comes to South India, it is the Naimas and Alvas. When it comes to Karnataka region, we can see the Veerashaiva movement happening. And when it comes to Punjab, the Sikhism is on the rise, and different kinds of Sufi saints are there, who produce their own philosophical treatises and way of living. And then the Mughal Empire. Yeah, coming to the Mughal Empire, there is a drastic decrease of Mughal Empire's proportion in question papers nowadays. Regarding it is has to do with the political scenario of today's India. So when we are seeing at Mughals, we need to see at each of the greater Mughal emperors and their achievements, their wars, their administrative divisions, their ministerial posts which they had. So these need to be seen. And yeah, the Marathas, how Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj came to establish the Maratha Empire, and what was his administrative divisions and what were his ministers known as minister for each of the sector, like for agriculture, for foreign finance. So it needs to be seen. And at the end we need to see the important battles fought between the Mughals and the Marathas. It is really important. And what are the treaties which were signed between the Marathas and the Mughals? Like for example, the Treaty of Porbandar is there, the Treaty of Purandar was there. So Saibai is there. So these are the treaties which need to be seen. When which year they were signed, which place they were signed by whom, and signed during whatever the conditions, demands of these treaties, that needs to be seen. And by the end, we see the rise of the Sikh Empire in northern Punjab, the Punjab northwestern frontier. So, who the most important Sikh ruler is Maharaja Ranjit Singh, and his idea of Sikhism, of militarization of Sikhism, like keeping the 5 Ks in their bodies, and how they fought with the Mughals. There was the Mughal Sikh wars, and what were the Sikh gurus which the Mughals executed, that also needs to be seen. And we arrive at the coming decline and disintegration of the Mughal Empire, where it is accompanied by the arrival of the European powers. So, the major aspect is to look at the Carnatic Wars in South India. Carnatic Wars, some of the Carnatic Wars, they precede the Battle of Buxar and Battle of Plassey. So the Carnatic War needs to be seen carefully, because it not only precedes, it also has a major role in changing the economic and political aspect of Indian history. So the Carnatic Wars needs to be seen. That you can make a table in which you can mention Anglo-Indian Wars. You can put a big table in which you can include the Carnatic Wars, you can include the Anglo-Mysore Wars, Anglo-Maratha Wars, the Anglo-Sikh Wars. So these you can put into it. And then when we arrive at the arrival of the European powers, you can make another table, like each European power, which year they arrived, and where did they arrive, where did they have their fort, where did they, who was their first governor or viceroy, or who sanctioned them, who gave them refuge, who sanctioned them with the economic trade deals and all. That needs to be seen into. And then when we move the slow political administration and economy under the company rule, how the East India Company, it defeated the other European powers. It emerged as a victorious power in India, while the French East India Company, it managed to maintain its colony in Pondicherry. So when we are looking at the administration economy under the company rule, you can make another table in which you have the British acts, like for example the Regulating Act of 1773, the Pitt's Act of 1784, there is the administrative reforms, the Charter Act of 1813. Like there are, I think, 3 charter acts uh, of from the year 1813 to 1853. There is the Government of India Act of 1858, Council of Indian Council Act 1861. So you can make a table of these acts, and then you can move on to the different policies which the British adopted for annexing various princely states. There was the doctrine of lapse, and there was the subsidy alliance. And then you can move on to the different revenue systems which the British introduced. These revenue systems are the permanent or zamindari system. There was the rotatory system. There was the mahalwari system, and then the land tenure system was there. So slowly we are moving on to various movements. Like for most of the textbooks, they would straightforwardly move on to the 1857 revolt, but that we should not do. We should go for the tribal and peasant movements first before moving on to the 1857 revolt. There was a Sannyasi revolts, there was the Fakir uprising, there was the Pagalpanti revolt, there was the Faraisi revolt, Kukka revolt, Chauhar rebellion, Kol rebellion, Santal Hul. As we see, there was a rise of subaltern school of historiography, and that is the need for uh, emphasizes on tribal movements and their contributions to the national struggle. These topics have become very important in today's time period. So it needs to be seen. The Mopla revolt of South India, it also needs to be seen. And then we move on to the 1857 revolt. 1857 revolt causes, what are the causes and what are the effects? And most importantly, as you know, we are giving a objective type of exam. So they will ask dates and the people's name, who was the governor of during that time, and where did the fight end, where did the revolt end. That needs to be seen. You just need to look into the factual exact points, the gists of history. It uh, it is unlike many of the master's degree or the bachelor's degree you read in your classrooms. There is a theoretical paper. So then other after coming of after the disintegration of 1857 revolt, you again come to the acts. What are the different types of acts? Censor of Press Act of 1799. There's a Liberation of Indian Press Act. You can put a separate table for it, like press and education in India. So you can put a big table and write the name of the act, the year they passed, who passed it, and what are the terms of these acts. You can give such. And then the Indian freedom struggle, like most of the people, they are aware about this. There's a textbook, Spectrum, Brief History of Modern India. That will be really useful for any UPSC aspirants as well as net aspirants to take care of that particular thing. And then you just need to make a big table, who are the important historians of each time period. Like for in ancient history, you have Romila Thapar, you have Upinder Singh, you have uh, Chattopadhyay. So what these historians they wrote, what are the works they wrote, and what are the major aspect of their historiography, what school of thought they belong to. That is really important. And then we move on to the medieval period, where we have Satish Chandra, we have Irfan Habib. uh, so what are these historians special focus, and what was the school of thought, and what are the important works they have written. And then moving on to modern historians, what are their works, how what is the school of thought. And you can make a separate table regarding the different types of historiography. How did historiography slowly develop, or what are the development landmark developments in historiography, starting from Oriental school, then we come to the nationalist school, and then we move on to the rise of Marxist school. And so what are the different schools, what are the different interpretations they have given, how. And regarding research aptitude for the students, research aptitude in the sense how you will approach a historical study, empirical study, what is empirical study. And so these are the aspects you need to look into. Like, please, many of the students, they will ask us, please suggest us books, we want to read them. But my suggestion is, more than reading this comprehensive texts, you can read like very gists of it. You can make a separate table of them, and you can proceed to prepare for your exams. That's what I wanted to say. Like yeah. Ileana, are you there?
Yeah. I'm there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Praveen. Participants, do you have any questions? You can unmute and ask. We'll check the YouTube live also. If somebody is asking a question there, then we'll reply to that as well. Dear participants, do you have any question? Live also, if somebody is asking a question there, then yeah, there is no question, so I hope things are understood by our people. Thank you, Praveen, for joining us today and briefing about how to crack Usenet JRF in history. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you so much, Praveen. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
write it.
Thank you, Ileana, for having me here.